Oh, quite the shelltastic entry for you today. What do you get when a timeless classic play pattern meets a new favorite franchise?
That's a kind of twisted poetry.
That's right, we've been here before. Mutating turtles, pet turtle, baby turtles, nothing new. But as with all things tales of the TMNT, they're putting their own twist on a timeless classic, keeping it fresh. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so here he is. Like we said at the top, these are not your dad's transforming, mutating turtles. And by your dad's, I probably mean yours from like 30 years ago. But it's an interesting one. He's quite large, and in some respects, he's almost more articulated than your standard release turtles because he's on that, you know, slightly larger frame. So his head can tilt back. That actual head's on a bit of a bowl joint. Shoulders are bowl jointed, but a little bit limited up just because of the sculpting and the gimmickry, but you know, you can lift them up if you want. Pretty decent, like bowl jointed elbow, that again is only limited by being sculpted into those wraps, which I'm also cool with. No wrist swivel, but you do again get a bend. Now it seems like different parts of him are made out of slightly different plastics. Like the hands feel a lot more gummy than, say, the plastic of the wrist. So that's something you're going to want to be mindful of as you're contorting this Tortoise Ninja. No waist swivel. Legs are on a bowl joint, then with a swivel. One thing that I'm really not enjoying is those like vestigial baby turtle feet sticking out the back of his thighs. I guess they've tried to make them, I don't know what they've tried to make them look like with this shape here, but that really doesn't work for me. I wish they'd been like flat or articulated in some way, but they kind of just sit there. The knees are then not too bad, and the feet you get a lot of movement out because of the transformation factor again. So he can throw some pretty great shapes, but these points of articulation are mounted oddly because of, you know, his primary feature, which is mutating. I will say, I really like the head sculpt of Leo. I think it's really bringing the energy of this iteration of the franchise. It's almost got a little bit of like a Toon Turtles thing to it, but I've only picked up Leo, and I will only pick up Leo because, as is, you know, the custom, all the bodies are the same body, it's just their head that's swapped out with some, you know, slightly different front of shell decals, which I get, right? You don't want to have to redesign that entire mechanism every time, but I went for Leo because I felt like this particular body suited him as a character the most. I found the other turtles looked a bit odd. Now, they will balance, right? But just in case there's any kind of balancing issues, the first and my favorite accessory that he actually comes with is this ooze puddle stand. So, you know, if you go ahead and plug that into the foot, then he's going nowhere, which is, you know, a wonderful addition. He then also comes with a pair of transforming katana, which, I don't know, I don't understand the point of. I don't think they can really be like weapons stored inside his shell or anything like that, so they just sort of get bigger for no real reason. I prefer the originals where they shrunk inside the handle. I thought that made, I don't know, at least a little more sense. But there you have it. I guess they can be different styled weapons if you wanted. Entirely up to you. Cha-cha-cha. Chop, 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 chop.
Chop, chop, dick, dick.
So as well as swords and, you know, oozy foot puddle, as is tradition, he comes with a mutating pizza. So you can kind of turn it into, I don't know, another one that I've never super understood. I guess it's a weaponized, hidden, mutating shuriken pizza. Sort of just looks like they've, you know, taken bites out of it, which also works.
Please, please, a moment to reflect.
Now, by way of a comparison, let's go ahead and get him in there with the mainline first release Leonardo. And you can see great color matches, plastic-wise, and they've even carried over the same belt design, even if it is only stuck to the front, which again, totally understand because of what he's got to do. But much bigger, right? Unlike kind of past iterations of the mutating turtles, well, actually only the original mutating turtles, they could almost be stand-ins for your regular turtles. Whereas, you know, if you're gonna get the mutating turtles, you gotta kind of lock in and get all four, because they're not gonna scale. An aspect that I do really appreciate about this ooze puddle is the ports on their feet are the same size across the two figures. So if you want to, you can go ahead and get one of your regular turtles to be standing in a puddle of ooze. Some third-party person should really do a whole bunch of these as figure stands for turtles, because they're great. I would buy a pack that was just those, to be honest. You listening, Playmates? I'll buy them. I'll buy like 30 of them. Watch me. Make one a pizza box, one just some ooze trash. I'm all about that figure stand. And we obviously got to go ahead and peep him alongside one of the OGs. This is an original Mikey. It's a real different thing. Totally different animal, whilst also still being a turtle. So the actual mutation aspect this time round is a little bit different. As we saw on the packaging, it has an automated feature to it. So you want to pop up that chest plate, unhinge that back piece, and then this is an important step that they don't super actually mention in the instructions, but that waist piece is tabbed together. The rotating mechanism isn't strong enough to separate that on its own, so you want to do that yourself. But then, hold the shell, counterclockwise. It's not a tidy feature. Okay, if everything's already pre-lined up perfectly and separated, it almost works as a feature, but it's not quite. So get the legs down and out of the way, then you yourself need to, fold these arms away so that they're covering his head. Just tuck them away. Pretend they're not there. Then we can fold the shell back down, and it's got little tabs and ports where everything should hypothetically, if it's all lined up just so, click together to hold it in place. And the same goes with the legs. You got these little tabs and ports, they'll plug into the calf, fold down the feet, and if you don't look too closely, you got yourself a baby turtle. Just never look at it from the back. Don't do it. Don't look from the back. It's got a real Ace Ventura quality to it. Not quite as stylized a baby turtle face as I would have sort of expected from this line, and not really any articulation on it. Articulation from the feet, obviously, nothing from those horrendous back feet. Personally, I don't think the innovation of the automorph sort of feature is worth how much you lose in terms of sculpt and functionality. Like if we go ahead and get him in there with one of the OG baby turtles, again, they always looked a little bit weird, and I don't think it was hurting anyone having to pull the legs out and stuff, making it more of an actual transformer. So for what's a pretty similar end result, the original just made for a much more sort of cohesive looking turtle, because you didn't have to see all this mechanical hard-lined sort of geometry, and you definitely didn't have to see his own face poking out his butt. So whilst it is a lot of fun to see them being innovative with the brand and trying something new when, these have been functioning the same way for more or less for 30 years, I do think that this was maybe a little bit of a misstep, and like, the classics are a classic for a reason. It's like us older collectors would have been like, oh yeah, it's just the same, I'm okay with that. And for younger fans, it'd still be new anyway. That is Mutating Leo in a nutshell. Or a turtle shell, as the case may be. You know what I mean. So what do you think? What's the vibe? Are you a fan? Hit me up in the comments below. I want to know generally how we're feeling about these releases. Have you got them? Are you going to get them? Is this an easy pass for you? Inquiring minds want to know. So until the next one, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you have not. If you already have, way to go, you little legend. And until the next one, let's get nerdy with it. Catch.